gotta be a better way to get through this line.
Look at what we have here.
Zombies in a grocery store?
Lining up and everything.
That gives me an idea.
Okay, Jamie, it's time for a pop quiz. In all the years we've been making Mythbusters, how many explosions have we caused?
I don't know.
Wow, 900. Okay, here's another one. How many cars do you think we've destroyed?
No idea.
Close, 220. Okay, how many volunteers have we used on Mythbusters?
I know this one. A lot.
You're darn tootin' it's a lot. We've used over 3,500 volunteers in the years we've made this show. We literally couldn't do it without them. That's why in this episode, we are paying them homage with 2 more stories that require some volunteer help.
Like what?
Well, later we're gonna be testing a myth that may prove that we've all been waiting online at the grocery store wrong.
I felt a little moment of pride that we just opened our first business and we've got all these customers.
But first up is a fan favorite that has become a fan favorite to complain about, our zombie episode, specifically axe versus gun.
I thought we did that in Axe 1.
Well, axe did win, but fans had a complaint about my axe technique. I think they called it lame.
Yep, in the epic zombie special, Adam's axe killed twice as many zombies
Dead! Dead! Dead!
as Jamie's gun. But fans cried foul. So back in the safety of M5, it's time for a Dawn of the Dead do-over.
You remember this axe, don't you? It's my zombie killing axe. And while I used it to kill zombies in our zombie episode, fans had problems with the way I was doing it. I was touching them and saying they're dead. Fans pointed out, rightly I might add, that it takes a certain amount of force to embed an axe in a zombie's head, and that's something that we are going to try and replicate to make this more realistic.
And to do just that, Adam's starting this volunteer special by breaking the mold.
Oh, check it out! Dude, are you ready to have your forehead split with an axe? It's too late. That's what you were born to do. Let's go.
Adam's anatomically accurate fake head will help his axe swing be more real. But how?
This is Jeremy. He's a friend of mine who has helped me on some projects in the past. Today, he's brought some electronics to help us calibrate our axe hits. So what do we have here, sir?
Well, we have an accelerometer here tied into a microcontroller.
And the accelerometer reads acceleration and deceleration on 3 axes. So what I'm hoping to do, if this works, is attach this to the back of our real axe head, cleave our fake zombie in half, and get a value of how much force that takes.
Yes.
And that's what we'll get with this machine?
Yes, we will.
Awesome. Let's do it.
With the accelerometer taped into place, it's time to swing for science.
Zombie killing. This is more gruesome than I thought it would be when we talked about this in the abstract. Oh, that was terrible. I grazed the side of his skull.
Yep, take 1 was not a zombie kill.
Look at that, I peeled off a bit of his flesh.
Take 2 has accuracy, but lacks the power to penetrate to the brain.
That was not a kill. You gotta hit him harder.
But take 3
Yeah! Dead zombies all day long.
gets that kill data Adam needs.
All right, so I successfully killed my zombie head, and to do so, I swung this axe on a 120-degree arc at 7.8 meters per second. Now comes the cool part. We're gonna put the same accelerometer onto my original foam axe, along with a special control unit that Jeremy's been building.
So where do you want that?
Right up here, right up top. Now, when I swing that foam axe through 120 degrees at any speed that is 7.8 meters per second or higher, then the control unit will let me know I've successfully registered a kill.
We just made this the coolest toy ever.
But if my swing is not long enough, fast enough, or hard enough, it's gonna tell me I've got to swing again.
And to let Adam know his swing success, the unit's been rigged with 2 sensory systems.
Okay, the machine's ready?
Yep.
Did you see that? It says kill? That's brilliant. Ooh, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's enough. Okay, killing zombies, I can tell right now, is gonna be tiring. I better do some push-ups. Wow. We've made and we've used a lot of scientific equipment on Mythbusters over the years. This, I think, is a first in the world, a zombie-killing axe that is itself a piece of scientific equipment. I'm also a little surprised by how much force it actually takes to cleave a zombie's skull. Last time I killed a handful of zombies. This time killing that many, even that small number, is gonna really tire me out.
Adam's rig is really pretty nifty. Like last time, it's got a foam head, so it's safe to actually swing near people.
This foam just soaks up the paint.
But now it not only weighs the same as a real axe, but it also takes a realistic amount of effort to swing.
Oh my God.
So me and my gun may yet come out trumps.
But before the zombie volunteers arrive, the guys must first start their store story.
All right, our next volunteer story is one I have literally always wanted to test, and it involves waiting online at the grocery store.
What's that?
All right, well, normally you go to a grocery store, you get your items, and then you're confronted with a whole bunch of checkout lanes, and you try and assess which one is moving faster so you can get out of that grocery store efficiently.
Yeah.
Well, there's a theory out there that that whole system is totally inefficient, that the best way to move people through a grocery store is to have one long snaking line that when you get to the end of it, you're led to the next available cashier.
And that's supposed to be faster.
It is. Don't you think we should test that?
Sure, why not?
Since the 1960s, the average American has spent 80 hours a year standing in line. But is it true we've been waiting wrong for so long? Well, starting right now, it's time to answer this classic conundrum once and for all.
To test this myth, we're going to need a market. Unfortunately, nobody would let us use theirs. Not surprising. I mean, if I had one, I wouldn't let us use it either.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So we're going to make our own.
That's right. In a few short hours, we are going to use little elbow grease to turn this beautiful empty room into a running grocery store full of aisles, products, checkout stands, and ultimately customers. Welcome to Mythbusters Store.
With no real stores willing to play ball,
I'll do the aisles if you do the registers.
Absolutely. Here you go.
the Mythbusters are going to have to build their own.
Oh, it doesn't look like much, but it's going to be awesome.
Adam's starting at the business end by assembling their homemade cash registers.
Next one.
He's fabricating 5 in total.
Lovely.
And they'll form the key part of their Mythbusters mini-mart.
Oh, yeah, cash registers. It's real. And that's not all. The coolest part, lit up signs that tell the customers which is the next free aisle.
Meanwhile, Jamie's on the shelf.
This is going to take a while.
With almost 800 feet of shelving for the guys to stack and pack, it's a back-breaking business. But it does have its advantages.
It might seem tedious to have to build our own store, but it allows us to remove variables that we might find in a real store that would be beyond our control.
Jamie's right. A real supermarket will already have a layout locked in and won't want anything to slow down sales. So Mythbusters stores is the way to go. But a build as big as this
I have always wanted to do this.
is something the guys can only pull off because of their experience.
We thought of everything. We've got baskets, too. This is exactly the kind of episode we never would have attempted in the early days of Mythbusters. We just didn't have the ambition nor the skill to work with large groups of volunteers and to build our own large-scale experimental spaces, but we have learned so much over the years. This is the pinnacle of our ability to work in a budget, on a timeline, with a whole bunch of volunteers to test something.
It's certainly ambitious. And with 5,000 products to place,
Time to start stacking.
It's the perfect go big or go home setup that this myth needs.
Give peace a chance.
Well, we are 10 hours in, and our checkout stands are complete and ready and wired. Our shelves are up, but now it's time to stock, and there's a lot to stock. Eat corn! Ah! We are about halfway there with still a fair bit to go. All right, ready on aisle 3. Oh, we don't have any customers yet.
From testing the laws of attraction
How you doing?
to comparing hand hygiene,
Our test subject group seems to have developed its own ritual.
the Mythbusters have spent 14 years sourcing volunteers for stories big and small.
Oh, she doesn't want to let go.
And right now, Adam and Jamie have crowdsourced 2 additional crowds, starting with the undead.
Mythbusters would not be able to test the stories it does without its amazing volunteers. Over the years, we've used greater and greater numbers, and they've allowed us to get better data points and test more complicated stories. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our zombies today. Just like real zombies, ours started out as real people, but unlike real zombies who are mindless brain eaters, our zombies are ingenious cosplayers. Each one of them has done their own clothing, their own blood spatter, their own makeup, and invented their own zombie character. And each one of them is willing to eat brains today for science. Hey, any of you flesh eaters get blood on my car, I will kill you again. Awesome.
Without doubt, our zombie volunteers are second to none. But the location is pretty special, too.
Here we are back at the scene of our original experiment, our zombie battle dome, if you will. We've got the same exact experimental setup with some new colors and the same weapons. Jamie gets a gun, I get an axe. All we need are, zombies. Holy crap!
With almost 200 volunteer zombies back from the dead, the guys have everything they need to retest the myth that fans complained about more than any other.
Their biggest complaint was with my axe, specifically my technique. They said that it was too lightweight. They suggested, the fans did, that every time I swing the axe, it should be with enough force to actually kill a zombie.
With the axe able to tell if Adam's using enough force to kill,
Let's go.
what's the plan?
So how's this gonna work? Well, when I start the timer and I do this, that lets the zombies know that it's time to get down to business. And then when I see that the zombies have overtaken Adam, I use this again, I stop them, we do a zombie body count, and we see how Adam did with his new axe.
It's time for zombies!
In the original episode, Adam dispatched 14 zombies before getting bit. But how will his new, accurate axe work out?
What a fine-looking group of ladies and gentlemen we all are. Are you hungry? Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
It's go time. And as soon as the zombies enter the circle, Adam's off and swinging hard. But not for long.
I'm dead.
With just 8 confirmed kills, barely half that of last time, Adam's total has tanked.
Well, the axe worked magnificently, and as far as Zombie Fantasy Camp, this is even more amazing than the last time we did this. Unfortunately, I was less amazing. Last time I killed an average of 14 zombies per round. With the real technique, I was only able to dispatch 8 before I went on to, I guess, become a zombie myself. That was awesome.
Sensing that there's room for improvement, Adam resets and goes again.
3, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, they're closing. It's happening quickly.
But as with test one, he's quickly taken down. Having dispatched, 8 zombies.
Adam's technique seemed to be to run around the perimeter of the circle as fast as he could to collect as many zombie bodies as he could. But he's having to put a lot of effort into getting it going, and it actually takes a lot more time. From above, it looked like an iris that was closing on Adam, and when it got small enough, he was done for.
The new technique has clearly slowed Adam down. But the key question remains. How does the axe compare to the gun?
It's time. Okay, zombies, face masks down.
To find out, Jamie's armed with a paintball pistol that, at the request of fans, has been set to semi-automatic.
All right, zombies, are you ready? Are you ready for some sweet, sweet Hyneman flesh brains? All right, here we go. Starting gun test in 3, 2, 1.
From the get-go, it's clear that Jamie's semi-auto is fast. But it's not fast enough to let him shoot his way out of trouble.
I'm down.
He's dead. I don't think he got more than 8.
In total, Jamie manages only 7 kills, 1 less than Adam.
All right, let's not start handing out the money from the betting pool just yet, because while it may seem, after Jamie killed only 7 zombies, that the gun didn't perform as well as the axe, my feeling from watching up above was that Jamie wasn't really feeling the killer instinct. So he's gonna do some breathing exercises, think about how much he wants zombies dead, and he's gonna do the test again.
All right, time to kill some zombies in 3, 2, 1.
This time, Jamie's out of the traps even faster. But because of the time it takes him to aim, he's still not fast enough.
Okay, I'm done.
As Jamie once again kills just 7.
Now, the last time I used some sort of weird pump-action pistol. This time around, I have a proper semi-automatic pistol, and it worked much, much better, at least as long as the clip was still full. But here's the thing. At the exact time that the clip ran out of ammo, the zombies were right there. And so the extra time it took me to swap out the clip was a deal breaker, and I was done for. And that meant that my semi-automatic pistol didn't do any better than Adam's now considerably slower axe even, and it didn't do any better than I did the last time with the pump action.
One of my favorite things about this show, one of the most scientific things that we do, is we take feedback after episodes have aired and we go back and retest things. I love that. Fans did not like my axe technique, so we rejiggered it, made my axe much more realistic to swing, and as expected, that radically reduced the number of zombies that I could kill. But I thought that Jamie was gonna mop the floor with me with his use of his new semi-auto paintball pistol. And yet, he didn't improve his score at all. I am totally gobsmacked that it seems right now like axe versus gun, it's axe. Oh, yeah.
Yep, despite the slowdown, the axe is ahead by a head. But there's way more to come for our armchair army.
I'm ready.
But only after some retail therapy.
And we are pretty much done. 5 checkout stands, each with working cash registers and indicator lights. 5,000 separate food items arrayed on over 750 feet of shelving, every single one with its own label. $56,000 in Play Mythbusters money. This is, without a doubt, the most elaborate experimental setup we have ever implemented, all to find out which is the more efficient way to wait online. Now, we are pretty much ready to go. We just got to make sure that everything is properly priced. This one doesn't have a price. That's a problem.
The guys are testing whether the traditional pick-a-lane method is really slower than one long line, known in the trade as the Serpentine. And with their 5,000 products all priced, their elaborate plan is ready to be revealed.
Here's how this experimental setup works. We've got 120 volunteers, and they will enter the store where they'll receive a shopping list of exactly how many items we want them to buy. Then they'll go get a cart. Once they have their cart, they'll enter the store and choose from the vast selection of Mythbusters merchandise on display. Personally, I hope we get cookies. Once our customer gets in line for the cashier, that's when the data collection actually begins. They will pull out their timestamp card and enter the precise moment they got in line. Then they'll proceed right towards the cashier. Once our customer reaches the cashier, that's when they enter the second data point, the time they got to the checkout stand. Thus, we will have the precise length of time they spent waiting in line. Our last stop is here, data collection, where we not only gather our customers' timestamps, but we're also interested in their experience. So on the back of each time card, they will grade their overall satisfaction with the line. Total length of time for our test, 30 minutes. Let's get to some fake shopping for science.
And a stats table staffed by experts. Everything set to release the volunteers for, first, a full systems check.
All right, shoppers, starting in 3, 2, 1, go for the run-through.
I felt a little moment of pride that we just opened our first business and we've got all these customers.
The guys are starting with a trial run to make sure their newly built store can cope, which at first it can.
All right, this is great. I was a little worried. You know, you plan all this to try and get lines, but you're not sure. Maybe you've built the system too efficient and no one waits on line, but we clearly have lines building up here. It's working great.
And your total comes to $9.
But 10 minutes later, the lines have become unrealistically long.
We're already seeing some problems with our experimental design because our entire customer base ended up in long lines, and that's not realistically like what we would have in a store. So we're going to have to figure out some way of pacing things a little bit to get lines that are more realistically sized to what you would see in a supermarket.
Yep, with just too many shoppers all at once, their commercial space can't cope. So the guys kick out their customers and reset.
All right, shoppers, commence entering the store.
This time with 25% fewer people,
There's a special on Jamie beans on aisle 4.
which soon results in queues that are much more realistic,
Jamie, this is working beautifully.
meaning that the testing can shortly begin.
We have done countless destructive stories over the years, but I also love myths like this one. I mean, I think when we do something like this, we might make the world a slightly better place by improving people's shopping experience. That's cool. That doesn't mean there can't be any destruction like this.
Cleanup on aisle 5.
The Mythbusters have helped drivers save dollars
The dimpled car, 29.65 miles to the gallon.
and revealed ways to save lives.
It's going down. Oh boy.
In fact, they've always armed viewers with important information.
Did you know what was lurking in your basement?
But at an apocalyptic warehouse, let's hope this myth's strange stats aren't ever needed.
So where do we stand? Well, so far it still looks like Axe is edging out Gun as a method for dispatching zombies. However, our testing scenario where zombies are coming from all sides, that is genuinely like the worst possible case scenario under which you could encounter zombies. In movies, it's much more likely that they're like trying to get in and they get through something, like a breach or a doorway. So that is the scenario we're gonna set up next.
It may sound like an oxymoron, but the guys are trying to up the realism of their zombie methodology.
Nice.
To do that, they're ditching the circle surround test and going instead with the classic fence breach.
Keep out!
The question is, will the axe still be the winning weapon?
Three, 2, 1.
Like film folklore, the undead start by coming through one by one.
This is working great.
But what Adam doesn't know is that Jamie's about to release the zombies en masse.
Breach the fence.
Oh, no!
With walkers now pouring forward,
A living wall!
Adam's swing frequency has to rapidly rise, which causes him to get fatigued fast. So much so that the power of his swing starts to fall below the kill threshold.
Adam is about exhausted, and he's slowly losing the battle.
This is exhausting. I'm dead. That was the hardest thing I've done in a long time.
Looks like that was quite the workout.
While Adam recovers,
I might have pulled a muscle.
Jamie counts up the dead
21, 22, 23, 24.
to reveal a final tally that's terrifying.
66, 67. Might be another body or so buried under there, but I'll call it 67. 67 zombies.
I have to say, changing our methodology radically altered that test. The first time with our circular test, I killed 8 zombies. This time with our breach, I killed 67. And I have to say, if you were measuring my adrenaline during that test, I don't think it would be that much higher if I was in mortal danger. I had every reason to want to kill all of those zombies if I could. I just ran out of steam. And at a certain point, I had to give in and become one of them.
With 67 the benchmark to beat, it's time for Jamie to come out all guns blazing.
I'm ready.
Armed to the teeth, and then some,
You want a piece of me?
let the carnage commence. But only after this quick prediction.
In my test with the axe, by the time this clock reached 2 minutes and 11 seconds, I had killed 67 zombies and died myself. My prediction is that at the same moment in time, Jamie will have killed at least twice as many zombies, and he'll still be alive. I've been wrong before, but I don't think I'm wrong this time.
Lest you think this is overkill, I'd remind you that we can't use real guns. We don't want to actually hurt any live people. And so the fact that I'm using CO2-powered guns means that I'd have to change out the gas supply. So I actually have to have this many guns. If you had a real one, you could just have an unlimited number of clips and get the same quantity. I can't do that, hence this.
Please remember, zombies, that Jamie's flesh comes from Indiana, which means it's especially tasty. All right, Hyneman, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
From the get-go,
He's not even moving.
Jamie has a clear advantage over Adam as he takes down zombies on both sides of the fence. But when the fence gets breached, Jamie must really start firing on all cylinders.
Excellent. He's doing good.
Come on, Jamie, you can do it!
Jamie may not be tiring, but the odd gun jam is slowing him down.
Oh, he's gonna run around the whole other side of this. Is kind of great.
So much so that his days in the land of the living are numbered.
He might be dead.
I'm down.
Jamie's dead and buried, but did he shoot more than 67?
Mr. Hyneman,
Yes.
stand up. You took 57 zombies with you.
Well, I guess axe beats gun, huh?
That is fascinating. I would not have called that. All right, let's clean up this mess.
Well, I gotta say, I was surprised. You would think that this would be like shooting fish in a barrel, but these guns are more complex than something like an axe. They have to be reloaded, they can jam, and a second or two is enough to make everything go haywire. So I ended up scoring less than Adam, but I was expecting exactly the opposite.
Yep, it's a result to confound the critics. When the apocalypse comes, folks, axe does beat gun, and then some.
Look, I have to admit, in the back of my mind, I'm going, the axe is totally going to lose this contest. As soon as you make it harder to swing, I am toast. Now, though, after beating Jamie twice, both in the round and in the breach test, I'm like, damn, Axe, you are the proper tool. Mwah! Not only good for a quest through Middle-earth, but also good against zombies.
But before disbanding their undead army, there's one more zombie request to test.
Groovy.
Meanwhile, back at Mythbusters stores,
Our employee of the month is James Franklin Hyneman. He hails from Columbus, Indiana.
the lineup trial run has been such a success that the data collection can now begin.
All right, timer ready? Here we go. Commence. Shopping test. Individual lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
This first test, the standard choose your lane method, will last exactly 30 minutes.
It looks pretty much like a busy, normal store.
And to make their data as reliable as possible, the Mythbusters are cranking the realism up to the max.
Now, some of you who've been watching up to this point might be thinking that we haven't set a totally real-world shopping scenario because we don't have people who slow the lines down with special requests. Oh, ye of little faith. We've actually built 2 bogeys into our testing procedure. One is a price check. A certain number of our shoppers will require one, and they'll call us on the radio, and Jamie or I will go out and give the actual price. There you go. One happened right there.
Okay, that's $3.99.
The other one is the most dreaded of shopping scenarios. Bum, bum, bum. The person who pays with a bank check. This, combined with the price check, ought to make our scenario very, very realistic.
There's no doubt that their superstore is super real. And halfway through, there's already a deluge of data.
Price check on 2.
Roger that, Mr. Hyneman, price check on 2. All right, we are 10 minutes in, and from my perspective, here in loss prevention, it's going beautifully. We've got people milling about and shopping. We've got people forming lines. The lines are different lengths. 1 is short, 4 tends to be long. I don't know why. Everything about this seems to be rolling quite nicely.
It's definitely looking good.
Price check on 5.
But because Adam's so excited about this store story,
How much is this apple, sir?
99 cents.
Thank you.
he's volunteering to not just observe, but to participate too.
Got my card, got my timestamp. Now it's time to go shopping.
He's been randomly allocated 6 items,
Grits, yep.
which he selects based on taste
Lab-grade gravy. Delicious.
and packaging.
I only buy these because the label features the handsomest man I've ever seen.
Then, like all the other shoppers, he chooses a queue and notes down the time.
24:36. 24:36.
And that's when the boring part, the waiting, begins.
No magazines to read. I need to know about what's going on with the Kardashians. This is the only place in the world I can find that out.
3 minutes, 18 seconds after joining the queue, Adam finally reaches the register.
$27.54.
27.54. Thank you. All right. Here, I'm buying that banana peel.
But how will that time compare to his fellow shoppers who continue to collect their data with destiny until, luckily for them, time's up?
Well, after a couple of hiccups, we have completed test number 1 of our line waiting test. Thank you very much. I'm very happy with how it went. In fact, I even participated as a customer during this run, and it felt like a very authentic shopping experience, which is what we want. Next up, set up the Serpentine.
You want a piece of me?
In the Mythbusters Volunteer Special, the guys have shown that axe does trump gun.
That was the hardest thing I've done in a long time.
But fans also want to know if its gasoline-powered bigger brother is even better. And for that, Adam's taking a pit stop at the shop.
While we've been playing around with guns and axes, I have to say I feel we have neglected perhaps the most spectacular of zombie-killing tools, and no zombie apocalypse would be complete without it, the humble chainsaw.
Although the axe was awesome,
Oh, I love the smell of old tools.
viewers want to know if the iconic chainsaw is really a zombie's ultimate enemy.
Ha! Ha ha! I win.
To find out, first, Adam must calibrate his weapon so that it can reliably register a kill. And for that, he's switching things up.
When I take a chainsaw, and I touch a zombie, there's a certain length of time I touch him for before I've cut through his skull and his cranium. I'm guessing 3/4 of a second. So what I've done is I've set a switch into this chainsaw that will start a timer going that will go bing every time I've killed a zombie. And this is the switch. It's a little bit of a UHMW guide, a micro switch, and when I touch a zombie, oh, it clicks the switch. Hear that?
Adam's timer switch will ensure that he can't kill zombies unrealistically fast.
Wounded zombie, dead zombie. That's how this is gonna work.
But so as to not really harm our volunteers, he's also swapping out the blade for something significantly less sharp.
I've got to kill zombies without hurting them.
Next comes the predictable paint job. Before one last addition, a blood spatter system to crank the realism to the max.
Everyone knows zombie blood isn't red. It's a family show.
And with that, it's finally ready for a full systems check.
This is test number 1. Zombie killing chainsaw. Let's go kill some zombies.
But before we start that mayhem, it's back to the Mythbusters Shopping Spectacular, where Adam and Jamie are tackling a classic queuing conundrum.
Just remember, shoppers, there's also a special on Jamie Beans in aisle 4.
They're trying to find out whether it's quicker to wait in individual lanes or one giant line.
Here's a little something for your trouble.
Thank you, sir.
And with the 30-minute choose your lane test ticked off, the store manager has the stats.
Well, test 1 is done, the results are in, and I have this handy palm full of figures. We processed 138 shoppers. They averaged a wait time of 5 minutes and 39 seconds. The fastest was 2 minutes, 16 seconds. The slowest, 9 minutes and 21 seconds. That was an unhappy shopper. And they had an average satisfaction level of 3.48 out of 5. I think that's a little bit above average. Now, what does this mean when the Serpentine line happens? I can't see it changing it that much. I could be wrong.
To find out, the guys set up their Serpentine, which is pretty simple.
Basically, the Serpentine line is just a single line. It may snake around like a serpent, but that's just to fit it in the store more conveniently.
Darn right it's a long line.
The customer at the head of the line simply waits for the next available cashier, and he goes there.
That's the concept, but to see if it's faster,
Cashiers, are you ready? I said, cashiers, are you ready?
the guys open for business for their 90 volunteers.
Go.
But the test won't start straight away.
You might be wondering at this point why we're letting our store run before starting to gather any data. And the reason is, well, it's best to think of our store like a marble run.
It looks like aisle 2 is open for you here.
So if you have a marble run with tracks and wheels and you dump 50 marbles in all at once, they're going to start in a clump and then slowly disperse throughout the machine as it goes. That's exactly what we're doing here. We're bringing in our people and then letting them disperse. And once they're dispersed, that's when our data is going to be more accurate because it's more averaged across the system.
It takes 5 minutes to achieve an optimum dispersal. And then it's all systems go.
All right, let's start the clock in 3, 2, 1. Commence continuing shopping.
To ensure a valid comparison, they're using the same number of volunteers,
Looks like number 2 is open for you, ma'am.
with the same number of wild cards. But by studying the dynamics of the queue, Jamie's already spotted something serious.
So the amount of time that it took that customer to get from the middle of the line to the cashier is time that didn't exist if that person was standing in line the conventional way. It's that travel distance that I think has to be making this whole thing take more time.
According to the Hyneman, this extra travel to the till will slow the system. But Adam's not so sure.
When we first started writing out the methodology for this test, I have to tell you I had some bias, and I thought Serpentine was totally going to win. But now, after watching this in action, I'm not so sure that I'm right about that. Because it may be that this just makes it fairer for everybody, but not necessarily faster for everybody.
Price check on 2.
Oh, price check on 2, excuse me.
Adam and Jamie are testing a super story about the superstore. Is it better to line up in individual lanes or in one long line? Halfway through the long line test, and their Mythbusters data is coming in droves, which is Jamie's cue to join in.
It's time for you to be a customer.
Okay.
Like Adam before him,
10 items.
Jamie's volunteered to collect data.
Fresh produce is good for you.
As he sources a randomly allocated 10 items.
And some peanut butter.
Before standing in line, which is too hard for Adam to resist.
Yes. You can see him there. He's blending in with the average populace. Not even a little bit. You can spot him by his absurd mustache and self-referential hat.
Whereas Adam Attenborough Savage queued for 3 minutes 18, Jamie's wait is way longer, a whopping 5 minutes 29.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Keep the change.
But that's still less than the pick-a-lane average. So what will the rest of the data say? Well, 6 minutes and 32 transactions later, the guys have all the numbers they need.
All right, everybody, freeze where you are. Freeze where you are. That will conclude test number 2. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
All right, the results of our Serpentine tests are in. And if you remember, the average wait time for our 5 individual lane shoppers was 5 minutes and 39 seconds. The average wait time for the Serpentine shoppers was 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Yes! 77 seconds on average per shopper slower. What the hey? That's absolutely kind of mind-blowing to me.
That's right, but here's where it gets interesting. Even though the Serpentine moved slower, the customers actually liked it better. In fact, twice as many gave it a 5, the top rating. Go figure.
It's a result that's the complete opposite of the myth. The Serpentine was slower, yet also more popular. And Adam thinks he knows why.
So why is Serpentine slower? Well, let's look at the individual lines first. The fastest time through those lines was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. That is blazing fast. No bogeys, quick cashier, everyone's happy. But our fastest time in the Serpentine was almost twice as slow, 4 minutes and 33 seconds. That's because the speed of the lines is averaged out across the entire group, and it brings it down. And when you add in the length of time it takes to get from the end of the line over to the next available cashier, well, it turns out you've added almost a minute to everyone's time. That's pretty amazing.
Yep, it's slower for sure. But because it's also fairer, it's got the volunteer thumbs up.
So how to call this myth is actually kind of interesting.
How so?
Well, the myth, as stated, is that the Serpentine method, the single long line, is faster.
And the implication is that it's therefore better.
Right. But even though we found it was 23% slower,
the customers liked it better.
Yeah, so we're in this weird position of saying Serpentine method is busted.
But it's also better.
Yeah, busted but better. That's cool. Let's get out of here.
Okay.
Back at their apocalyptic location, it's time for this last act's last stand. Against the zombies' ultimate nemesis.
Groovy.
But will the legendary chainsaw beat the course record of 67 kills?
Okay, Adam. 3, 2, 1, go.
Remember, Adam's rigged his replica
zombie blood all over me.
with a switch that lets him kill a zombie in 3/4 of a second.
Come on, zombies, yes!
Which means he's able to rack up his score faster than a death metal montage.
Ah, yes! Oh, this is awesome! Yes!
With minimal reset time and little fatigue,
Whoa! Oh, I'm falling into zombies!
it's only 4 manic minutes until Adam is the last man standing.
2 left! Yes! Woo! I killed all the zombies!
It's a surreal scene of utter devastation. All 190 zombie volunteers are dead and buried.
It's been a few decades since I was a mediocre student, but I remember enough to remember that a really good score is 100%. That's how many zombies I killed, and it feels good.
With a success rate that's second to none, the chainsaw's status as the ultimate end-of-the-world weapon is well and truly confirmed. But that's not the only top tip from the Mythbusters.
Oh, once again, I think we have really proven that the analog hand tools, even gasoline-powered, are vastly superior to guns and shooting weapons when it comes to zombies, even if it's a lot of work. I'll tell you, if there really is a zombie apocalypse, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to the gym, the non-zombie gym.
You heard it here first. When the zombie apocalypse comes, it's absolutely going to be a case of survival of the fittest.
So after all that we've learned with dealing with zombies, what's your plan in the zombie apocalypse?
Run!